is high in the fight between the light and the Father of lies. From the armor of God to the sword in our hand, the Proverbs guys are taking a stand. Through every season, through the fire and every test, our faithfulness remains. We're giving him our best. Stephen the founder is all about truth, cutting through tradition since the days of his youth. He points to the scripture, the word of the king. It is written, he cries, let the gospel ring. We're the killers watching the stars in the night. Astronomy and end times brought into the light. The mics are hot, the air is clear. President Dan is finally here with designer talk, showing how God made it all. He's uniquely created every creature, great and the small. We're the Proverbs team, and we're holding the line. Defenders of the faith and intelligent design. Started in Genesis, we take it all in a row. The foundation of truth is deep and umbilical. Standing united on Christ crucified. The gospel message for which he died. From the first of the pages to the end of the stage, the gospel message for every age. It's spiritual warfare, we're breaking the chains. The kingdom is coming, the Savior remains. No accidents here, it was all by design. We'll live with the Proverbs. It's time to let our light shine. The armor is on, the vision is clear. We're standing our ground, we've got nothing to fear. We are ready, let's go live. Welcome to the Proverbs guys. We're the Proverbs team, the Proverbs guys. Welcome to the Proverbs guys. Yeah.
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Rich. I'm your host and moderator for this debate for Proverbs Guys Ministries. We welcome Stephen Andrew Bolin and Robin Webster in a debate about is evolution a religion? So they're going to have opening statements, 10 minutes each, and then a 6-minute rebuttal, then a cross-examination of 10 minutes, and then a 20-minute open discussion. and then closing statements for both, and then we'll answer some questions and probably open the panel, let some of you guys come in and talk for a little bit. Without anything else, let's get right to it. Stephen, you get the affirmative, so it is your opening statement first, please, sir.
All right, thank you for that, Rich, and thank you for hosting. Let me go ahead and pull up my slides, and you can go ahead and start the timer.
Whenever you start
right.
talking, there we go. Go ahead.
All right, so the topic of tonight's debate is evolution is a religion as a question. Let me begin by clarifying something very important. This debate is not about whether science is real. Of course it is. It's not about whether biology exists. Of course it does. Whether organisms adapt. Of course they do. Or whether scientific investigation is valuable. Of course it is. Science has given humanity incredible tools and discoveries, and I affirm the importance of science inquiry. The question before us tonight is much more narrower and it's deeper. Is evolution merely a scientific theory supported by direct evidence, or has it become a belief system sustained largely by faith, assumptions about origins, and meaning? I'll argue that modern Darwinian evolution, when presented as a complete explanation for life and humanity, functions not simply as science, but as a religion. A religion, at its core, attempts to answer humanity's ultimate questions. Where did we come from? Why are we here? What are we? And what, if anything, gives life meaning? Darwinian evolution does not merely describe biological processes. It offers answers to all of these questions. To tell us that life arose through guided natural processes, that humans are the accidental product of mutation and selection, and that purpose and morality are ultimately human constructions rather than objective realities. Those are not laboratory measurements. Those are philosophical claims about existence. And like all religion, evolution rests upon fundamental beliefs that cannot be directly observed or repeated. No human being has observed life emerging from non-life. No one has witnessed universal common ancestry unfold over millions of years. No experiment can rewind history and replay the origins of consciousness or the appearance of complex biological information. Instead, we interpret present evidence through assumptions about the past. At that point, we've moved from experimental science into historical inference and ultimately into belief. Furthermore, evolution appeals to higher authorities like religious traditions that rely on theologians or councils. Evolutionary theory relies heavily on academic consensus and institutional authority. Interpretations handed down through universities, journals, and scientific institutions become the accepted orthodoxy through which evidence must be understood. Dissent is often not merely debated, it is dismissed. And like religions throughout history, evolution possesses what functionally operate as sacred text, foundational writings, and canonical interpretations that shape how adherents understand reality. Figures such as Charles Darwin, and later popularized by Richard Dawkins, did more than describe biology. They articulated a worldview. In one design is rejected, an unguided process become the creative force behind life itself. Now consider education. From an early age, children are taught not merely that organisms change, but that life itself arose without intelligence or purpose. These claims are presented as settled fact, even though the most crucial events, the origin of life and the emergence of consciousness, remain unobserved and deeply debated. When a comprehensive explanation of origins is taught authoritatively, accepted largely on trust in experts, and used to shape how people understand meaning and identity, it begins to function socially like a religion. My contention tonight is very simple. The more deeply we investigate evolutionary origins, the more we encounter questions that cannot be experimentally verified and must instead be accepted on faith in naturalistic assumptions. Science is strongest when it remains humble, testable, and open to questioning. But when a theory expands beyond observable science and begins answering ultimate questions about existence while demanding intellectual allegiance, it crosses a line. At that point, evolution is no longer just biology, it becomes belief. Sorry, it's loading. And that is why I affirm tonight's resolution: evolution as a comprehensive explanation of life and origins function as a religion. Thank you. And I will give back the remainder of my time.
Okay, you did good. You want to
Let's
save
say
that
hi.
4 minutes for later?
Yeah, let's say hi to Dan.
We can do that.
Oh, hello. I remembered sort of, kind of, I didn't, but I'm glad you're here, Richard, because Stephen asked me to moderate, and I said, sure, if Richard couldn't do it, and then I never remembered to look at my messages anyway. So doing great, Richard, because you guys know me. I would suck at actually having to tell time. And Robin, I was telling on the chat, you know, I
Time's
should
all
be
relative anyway, brother. Don't worry about it.
I should be team PGs, but you know, you're our favorite guest, so I got to be neutral in this one.
Are you denouncing Christ for this debate, Dan? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't think that's what I heard.
No, but I'm one of his biggest fans, you know what I mean? So he's just, yeah, he's playing to his audience.
Now, one of my good friends.
Love you, brother. I'm going to put you back on mute and maybe he did mute himself. All right, Robin, would you like to start your opening statement, please? I'll
Yes.
start your 10 minutes. Do you want 12 minutes as you don't have your slides? Is that what we're doing?
No, I don't need 12 minutes. It should be like around 8 minutes, I think, is what it should be.
Okay.
And I don't have slides, y'all. I messed up and did not save my slides. So
It's all right.
Okay. Question tonight is evolution of religion. I stand firmly on the negative, and I will argue that evolution is not a religion, and that calling it one is not only incorrect, but it fundamentally confuses the categories. This is a category error, assigning something to a category where it simply does not belong. Tonight, I will make 3 clear arguments. Evolution and religion belong to fundamentally different categories. Evolution lacks the essential characteristics of a religion, and calling evolution a religion creates confusion and weakens both science and religion. First, evolution and religion are different categories. To begin, we must define our terms, because without definitions, we have no real debate. Religion is commonly understood as a belief and worship of gods or a god, a system of faith centered on the sacred, and a framework of moral teachings grounded in spiritual authority. Religions deal with meaning, morality, purpose, worship, the sacred. It answers questions like why are we here, what is right and wrong, and who is worthy of devotion. Science, by contrast, operates in a completely different domain. Science is a method of inquiry based on observation, evidence, testing, falsifiability, and revision. Science asks, what can we observe? What mechanisms explain what we see? And what predictions can we make? Evolution belongs to the second category. It is a scientific theory, a model used to explain biological change over time through natural processes such as variation and selection. It is descriptive, not devotional. It explains processes, not purpose. To call evolution a religion is like calling chemistry a philosophy, or calling music a mathematical equation. They're just different categories with different functions. Evolution lacks the defining features of religion. If evolution is a religion, then it should have the defining features that all religions shares. Um, Religion typically includes worship, sacred texts, moral commandments, spiritual authority, faith as a primary basis for belief. Now, ask yourself, does evolution include any of those? Does evolution prescribe worship? No. Does it establish moral law? No. Does it claim divine authority? No. Does it offer salvation or redemption? No. Does it depend on faith in the absence of evidence? No. It explicitly depends on evidence. There is no altar, there are no prayers, and there are no sacred texts. A system without worship, without moral authority, without sacred commitment cannot meaningfully be called a religion. Part of the confusion comes from the misunderstanding of the word theory. In everyday language, theory can mean a guess. But in science, a theory is a well-supported explanatory framework backed by evidence and continually tested. Evolution, like any other scientific theory, is open to challenge, subject to revision, and dependent upon evidence. If new evidence disproves it, it will be modified or replaced. That is not how religion functions. Religion does not operate on provisional acceptance. It operates on conviction grounded in faith or revelation. Science says this is our best explanation so far. Religion says this is the best explanation. These are not the same. Misuse does not define essence. Some may argue that evolution functions like a religion because some people defend it strongly, some treat it as unquestionable, and it is taught with authority. But this argument fails. People can treat anything dogmatically. Politics, yes, politics, definitely. Economics, even personal opinions. But dogmatic behavior does not transform these things into religions. A person's attitude towards an ideal does not redefine the nature of the ideal itself. Misuse does not define essence. I like to say, if we hammer and we hit ahead with it, does that mean that we should stop driving nails with hammers? No. It's a tool, has a specific purpose and use for what, for which it is best used for. And if it's misused, it's not the fault of the tool. The consequences of this confusion. Calling evolution a religion does not clarify the discussion. It distorts it. If everything strongly believed becomes a religion, then we don't have any meaningful definition of religion. And calling evolution religion weakens religion by reducing religion to a mere explanation, and it misrepresents science as belief rather than method. Religion deserves to be understood as something sacred and meaningful to those who believe it, and science deserves to be understood as a method of investigation. Blurring the line between them helps neither. What evolution actually is. Let's be clear. Evolution is a scientific framework, a model explaining biological processes, a theory grounded in observation and evidence. It is not an explanation for the origins of life on Earth. It is not an explanation for the origins of the universe, the general universe, the planets or anything like that. It is an explanation of the complexity and diversity of life on the planet Earth. And that's it. It starts after life begins. That's a totally different. So I'm hoping that we don't have to separate those. Abiogenesis is a separate process, which I'm not here to defend tonight because I do not know anything much about abiogenesis. The question is whether it is religion. Based on clear definitions, logical categories, and the nature of both science and religion, the answer is no. Calling it so is a category error, which confuses method with meaning, explanation with worship, and evidence with faith. For the reasons, I urge you to reject this resolution. Thank you.
Well done. Let's move on to 6-minute rebuttal each. Stephen, you have the floor, brother.
All right. Thank you very much. So I may have got a couple of these wrong. I was trying to write real fast, but as you know, Robin, I was homeschooled, so bear with me. So number one, calling evolution a religion is a category error. So my opponent will say that this is not a category error because the comparison is not about taxonomy, science versus religion, but about function. She's going to argue that evolution functions unlike a religion for many people because it answers origins, meaning, and human identity, questions traditionally answered by religion. My counter to that is Buddhism is called a religion, but has no creator God, so religion is not defined only by a belief in a God. Number two, evolution lacks essential elements of a religion. My rebuttal to that is Buddhism, Jainism, secular humanism recognizes as a religion in legal cases. So that can't be the case. Number three, science and religion are different categories. Now, I say that they are categories that can overlap. For instance, Marxism, nationalism, environmentalism. The argument against that, though, is evolution may be science, but Darwinianism functions like a worldview. Number four, religion is worship of a god. My opponent will say that this definition is functionally incorrect in religious studies. A more accepted academic definition of a religion is a system of beliefs that explains ultimate reality, origins, morality, and humanity's place in the universe. Under that definition, I will argue that evolution does answer where we came from, what we are, why we're here, and what morality is. So in that case, evolution is absolutely a religion philosophically. Number five, science operates on observation, testing, revision. My opponent will say historical science, like evolution, cannot be directly observed. You cannot observe a fish becoming a human. Therefore, it relies on inference about the past, not direct experimentation. Evolution is a scientific theory, nothing more. The argument, evolution is not just a theory, but a worldview when used to explain morality, consciousness, purpose, meaning, origins of life, origins of the universe. Number seven, it explains processes, not purposes. I will rebut this. If evolution explains everything without purpose, then it's making a purpose claim that there is no purpose. So we'll have to debate that later. No worship, no prayers, no sacred texts. So they're going to say, she will, that there's no high priest, no sacred text, no heresy laws, no evangelism, no moral framework. But I would counter that. 11 and 12, combine these two. Scientific theory equals proven tested method. A scientific theory is not proven. Gravity is a theory. Germ theory is a theory. Theories are models that explain evidence. They're not proof. Number 13, science equals the best explanation so far, while religion says that it's the best explanation, period. My opponent will say many religions do allow revision and interpretation, and they'll say many evolutionists do not allow evolution to be questioned, making it dogmatic in practice. 17, misuse doesn't define essence. Analogy that I want to use. Communism killed millions, doesn't make economics a religion. Nationalism caused
2 minutes.
2 minutes? Okay, I'll try to speed up. Calling evolution a religion weakens religion. Calling evolution a religion exposes that everyone has faith assumptions about the past and ultimate origins. And that's as far as I got, Rich. So I'll give it up right there.
Okay, well done, sir.
You're muted, Robin.
Robin, you're muted.
And I was just bragging on you. Are great notes. You took great notes. Yeah.
Okay.
Now you're
Um,
muted.
well, you've
Yeah.
got the floor for 6 minutes. Do you need another minute or two, or are you good?
No, I'm ready.
I'll
Yeah.
start whenever you start talking.
Okay, Stephen, I don't know if he misspoke, but he said that I would say that it was not a category error. Yes, I did say it's a category error. Complaint. Yeah, so okay, that was just a misspoke. But yeah, you misspoke. Oh. Buddhism. I know I'm not really familiar with Buddhism, but I think that there's like several different different Buddhist sort of theologies. It's not like some of them have like a whole bunch of gods, and some of them have like no gods. And I think that probably in those thousands of gods, they surely have a creator god somewhere in there. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty, but I can't say nothing about it. But um, I don't know what how that helps his argument. Okay, on the legal basis, yes, secular humanism is considered a religion. However, secular humanism is actually separate from biological scientific study and the theory of evolution. Like they're not the same. Like there are, I think actually the majority of Christians on the planet accept evolution by natural selection as the best explanation for the complexity and diversity of life. I know that like the Catholic Church has officially adopted it, and I don't know what other I don't know what other faiths do, but I think that the last time I checked, that majority of Christians on the planet did. I think that most of the evolution denial period comes out of a lot of it's in the United States, and a lot of it's evangelical based. Okay, I can't remember what it said. Darwinism as a worldview. Like, first of all, Darwin, like he's the one that just like we had known evolution existed for a while. We just hadn't figured out what the mechanism was. And of course, Darwin never did know about DNA. So he didn't know actually what was being able to move the information, but he found the mechanism of natural selection. He kind of uncovered that. And so, but we've changed, like evolution has changed immensely since Darwin. I mean, we've added so many different more mechanisms, of just, and so much difference. All he had was pretty much natural selection and sexual selection. Okay. And I scribbled so bad that I can't even read what I wrote here. Something about. Okay, theory. And once again, a theory in science is like it's like the gold standard for explanations. Like you have to achieve status to get to theory, and evolution by natural selection is probably one of the most well supported, if not the most well supported theory that we have in evolution. It is like it has evidence coming from geology, embryology, geography, microbiology, genetics. I mean, like there's a whole suite of natural sciences that confirm each other within within that. And it's all about like the age of the earth and all that kind of testing. It all lines up, and evolution we've made predictions. Like we have witnessed some speciation.
Robin, you have 2
Okay.
minutes.
We have witnessed speciation on certain animals. Of course, they were maybe this fly, but it was still a fly, but they would no longer mate or something. But it takes a lot of time. And fish don't become dogs. That's your that's a straw man. That's something that evolution does not propose. It never claims to be that fish ever became dogs. Like a fish, every species always gave birth to the same species. Like you are never a different species than your parent. And your offspring will not be a different species. These are small incremental changes over time that over millions of years result in eventually an animal not being able to breed the original. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Very good, Robin.
I love when they clap for me. Yes.
Because you're my friend before you're my opponent.
I couldn't read, but I wrote down a few other things, but I couldn't even read them. That's how bad. I need a person to write for me or something.
Okay, we're going to move into our cross-examination section. It'll be 10 minutes each. Direct questioning and preferred short answers. No long, drawn-out speeches, please.
All right. Are you ready, Ms. Webster?
Yes, I'm ready, Freddie.
All right. So I wrote down some questions here because I knew that in the moment when I was face to face with you, I would be terrified and shivering in my boots and I wouldn't be able to think of anything.
I know.
So number one, can you personally observe molecules turning into living cells today, or are you trusting scientists who tell you it happened in the past?
Molecules turning into living cells. I think I don't think that's the way it. See, we're going through abiogenesis again, and I told you I'm not into abiogenesis, but like the earliest cell that would have been posited by evolution would be nothing similar to the cell that we see today. It would not have any kind of like mitochondria or any of that nucleus or anything like that. It would be just a simple cell that maybe eventually got like a membrane around it to protect it from, but the thing about it is there was no life. If there's no life on Earth, if there's nothing here.
Could you make your answers just a little shorter so I could try to get through several of these?
Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot.
That's okay.
That's good.
Is the origin of life from non-life something that has been observed, or is it an unobserved historical claim?
Okay, it's really not nothing. The origin from life from non-life is not actually part of evolution. It's not. But the Miller-Urey experiments did show some kind, and there's been thousands of experiments since then, but I don't know anything about them.
All right. Would you agree that believing in something that cannot be observed directly and must be accepted based on authority requires faith?
No.
Interesting. Do you believe everything came from nothing? If so, what scientific experiment demonstrates something coming from nothing?
I do not believe that. I don't think that evolution says that. I don't even think that the Big Bang says that. I don't think that abiogenesis says that. I do, however, think that religion says that.
Interesting. All right. Is the Big Bang something anyone has ever observed, or is it a belief about the past?
I don't believe there were any humans alive at the time of the Big Bang because the Earth wasn't here yet.
So you would agree it's a belief about the past?
No, it's a belief, yes, because I think that
Thank you.
Knowledge is a subset of belief.
Okay. If no one observed the Big Bang, how is it different from a creation event that no one observed?
There's evidence, though. There's evidence. That we cannot falsify that God was not behind the Big Bang. But I think that a lot of creationists don't want to accept that part of it. When we have evidence, we're not arguing the Big Bang either. So,
can mutations add brand new genetic information? Yes or no? And can you name a specific example?
Yes, I don't want genetic information, but let's say skin color. Our skin color is something, we once had, all had dark skin. And as we moved to north to areas with less sunlight, our skin had to lighten, and it had to come up with a mutation to do that, or so we could absorb sunlight and synthesize vitamin D.
Okay. If evolution is a fact, why are there still major disagreements among scientists about how evolution actually happened?
Well, science doesn't deal in facts. It doesn't. It doesn't. That's not a actual scientific position on facts. Because if we had facts, we would just quit searching. So there's always like different, people debating about evolution and stuff. Like there's always different things to learn, and that's how we learn what we learn. Is just keep on testing.
Okay, is evolution responsible for morality? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. And if our brains evolved only for survival and not truth, why should we trust our brains to tell us evolution is true?
Well, I mean, okay, well then why should you trust your brain to tell you God is real?
Well, I can't answer questions, but ask me that question in your. And no, I have an answer, but I don't want to waste my 10 minutes.
I mean, I like we.
Yeah,
we
hold
just
on,
have-
hold on,
yeah.
Robin. We'll ask that question again. He's got 5 minutes left. Keep going.
Okay. Is it fair to say that evolution attempts to explain the origin of life, the origin of the universe, and the origin of morality?
No, it does not. It explains the complexity and diversity of life on Earth.
Okay. So the three questions that I mentioned, origin of life, origin of the universe, and origin of morality, are traditionally answered by religions. So how is evolution functioning different than a religion? It tells us the origins, where we start, and it tells us the guided processes that takes us where we are today.
It doesn't tell where we start unless you're talking about humans specifically. Like it might be able to tell us when Homo sapiens evolved, or like the earliest primates that we think back to it being one of our early ancestors. But like abiogenesis is a specific field that deals with the life arising from non-life.
And you don't think that the theory tries to explain the origins of us going all the way back to single cell organisms?
Yeah, I mean, what it does is it uses nested hierarchy based on now we have, but this nested hierarchy we used to do like on body plans and sort of similar traits and stuff like that, and now but then we got once we got genetics, like it's confirmed some of our nested hierarchies and it changed some of them, which is why whales are now considered the closest relatives to like a hippo than they were to anything that was ocean bound.
I'm just a little confused because if it tries to explain the origins of life, taking us back to the single cell organism, I'm unsure then how it doesn't try to explain the origins of us. Or the same could be used against the universe. You said that it doesn't try to claim the origins of the universe, but then what are they trying to do with the Big Bang?
That Big Bang is cosmology and physics.
Right, but without that, we couldn't have got to
biology.
where we are today, according to the theory.
I know, but they're different fields, though. That's what I'm saying. Like biology just deals with like all of these things. Like physicists do the cosmology, and cosmologists they do that. Mathematicians,
Okay.
and then there's actually a field of abiogenesis, who are people who do nothing but study how life came from non-life.
Okay. And can you name a single piece of evidence for evolution that does not require interpreting the evidence through the evolutionary worldview first?
I don't know. Let me think. I'm not very good at this evolution. There's
2
probably all
minutes.
kinds of it, but I don't know. I'm gonna pass on that one because I can't think of something. But I will here in a minute if I can look at my chat. I'll get an answer.
Okay. If tomorrow evidence proved evolution false, what would you replace it with to explain origins?
Well, okay. What would they have to do is somebody could, if you want to replace the theory of evolution, you have to be able to posit a model that will explain the data that that the theory of evolution explains. Like that's the only thing, like you can poke holes in evolution, but I don't see religious people offering up any explanation for the data that we see.
Okay. If you weren't there to observe the first life form appear, how are you not taking an appeal to authority?
Well, I mean, you can like anything you do when you're going backwards is inference. But I'm old, but I'm not 14. I mean, I'm not 4.6 billion years old. I think life is supposed to. They say that it arose probably about 4 billion years ago. I think about half a billion years before life arose on the planet or something like that. So I don't know. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a biogenesis person. So
Okay.
I'm not even a biologist. I'm just got a lot of friends who are biologists, and I slept at.
Neither am I, but I'm friends with Kent Hovind, so I'd say we're on equal footings. But you would say I'm a country bumpkin.
We're down to 20 seconds. You want to ask her one more question?
Yeah, go ahead. Give me some extra times as I was chattering around.
Okay. Can natural selection create new information, or does it only select from information that already exists?
Well, I mean, yeah, it does. Like, okay, mutations arise like all the time. Most of them are like just neutral. Most of them don't do anything. Like they come up, and a mutation has to make it into your germ cell, which would be into like the gamete cells. So like if I have a mutation that created in my body, it's not going to be passed down because, you know what I mean? Like it's just going to, it'll be something that I'll deal with during my lifetime, and most of them don't affect your body at all.
Okay. Is there a limit to how much change mutations can produce before the organism dies or becomes less functional?
Well, I mean, I would say
just the last question for Stephen.
Okay, I would say
Continue
yeah.
to ask more in the next round, please.
I would say yeah. There's in you know, in the spirit of that question, I'd say yeah. There could be enough mutations to where your body would not, like your body plan would not work. You know what I mean? Like in like any kind of dysfunction like that is going to limit your you know, the thing about natural selection is it will just naturally select the things that benefit the organism because it makes them better at survival.
Okay. All right. Well, I am out of time. Thank you so much, Robin.
Yes, good,
Hey,
hard
good
question.
job. Great questions. Real quick, for anybody watching this, if you have any questions for either Robin or Stephen on the topic about is evolution a religion, post them down in the comments. I've got a few pinned that we will be answering towards the end of the show. All right, Robin, go ahead with your 10 minutes.
Okay, I might have some in my chat too, but I can't read it right now.
Okay, well, feel free to bring them up at the end.
He can actually see your chat, Robin. So anybody who posts in your chat, it's coming up through our restream, so he can highlight those too.
Praise God. All right, go ahead and ask your first question. I'll start the timer.
Okay, I've got people messaging me. I don't know why. Okay, do you have is religion based on evidence that is repeatable or testable or observable?
No, religion is based off of faith, but it can be accompanied by evidence.
Can you define faith as you think it's defined?
Yeah, so faith, like you mentioned earlier, we have sacred text. So we read from our sacred text. We take it as authority in faith, and then accompanied by evidence would be, for instance, the Bible talking about the city of David, and then through archaeology, us digging up the city of David.
If we find out new information that you know, falsifies one of the stories in the Bible, do you think religion updates that information, or do you think that it just maintains dogmatically onto that position?
Honestly, I can't answer that question truthfully because we haven't observed that situation.
Okay, so have you observed a God created universe?
Absolutely not. I am not 6,500 years old.
Well, you thought I was 4 billion. Okay, so have you witnessed God creating a rib woman?
I have not. No.
Okay. Have you witnessed God's like splitting the Red Sea or putting animals on a boat?
Can I make just one quick point about the last question?
Yes.
For me, that would tie back into the taking it on faith with scientific evidence later or archaeological evidence. And the example I would give would be the woman from a rib. And then later on, we've discovered that there is a bone that can grow back. We've talked about it with Achilles, and that is the bottom rib.
Yes, but women do not have any more ribs than men.
Correct,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
But the Bible doesn't claim that Adam's rib never grew back.
Yeah, I know. I know. I mean, I actually have friends that told me that they have one less rib than me.
Okay, that's a bizarre faith claim.
Well,
I'll give you
I'm
that.
in Kentucky, remember? Okay, so
Fair
maybe
enough.
Alabama was a little better than Kentucky, but all
Well,
right.
you guys are getting all your apologetics from Kent Ham. I can't blame you.
No, I can't watch Ham. He makes me nauseous. But
Me too.
yeah, he's very creepy, I think. Okay. You said, let's see. Let me think what I'm trying to.
You can give her an extra 30 seconds, Rich, because I
she's
derailed
old and
her.
had a stroke and stuff.
It's on me.
Okay, so you asked you said that evolution tries to explain morality. Can you show me what that is like?
So I would say we have morality today. I would say that you and I both agree that murder is wrong. But if God's not real, that instinct in us, that something inside of us that tells both of us that murder is wrong would have to come from your explanation of life, meaning evolution would be the developer and the originator of morality.
I mean, I would say that probably those would be the most two common answers, but I don't think that necessarily that it has to be either one of them. But if God's not real, you admit that we have morality somewhat, right?
Oh, absolutely. But if God didn't make morality and evolution didn't develop morality, where would morality come? Well, don't answer that because it's your turn. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Ask me questions Okay. Now I forgot. Oh, so okay. So if morality is, do you think that God is? Does he change his mind or change his position on things?
So his laws never change, but yes, God can change his mind. That's what the scripture means when it says that God repented. He changed his mind about whether or not he should have done something.
So I don't understand. Well, can you explain how an all-knowing being could regret or repent? Why would they need to do that?
Yeah, so a perfect example would be the story of Jonah. So God sends Jonah to let the Ninevites know that they are going to be destroyed for their iniquity. And because of their repentance, God changed his mind and he let up from that destruction.
Okay. So would you admit that our morality has evolved since the time of the early Hebrews?
In my worldview, I wouldn't. Well, it depends on what people group you're referring to. Like people group in our faith, morality has been pretty consistent. If you're taking like pagan religions that used to sacrifice babies, then I would say yes, morality has evolved for them.
Okay, so do we still stone people for picking up sticks on the Sabbath?
Not in the United States, but it's very possible that there's a tribe out there somewhere who stones people for picking up sticks on a Saturday.
Or do we stone women for not being virgins on their wedding night?
Luckily, not in the United States, but again, I can't answer for tribes in the Congo that I've never visited. Although in the Muslim faith, that's not totally out of the question.
Yeah, we're not going to throw Islam in here.
Okay. So
but I don't think you should have to answer for Islam, and I'm not going to either. As
really appreciate
atheist.
That.
So okay. Let's see. Well, I would say that actually in the Bible there are several different stories that involve sacrificing babies. There are several different orders that came down through Moses from God or whatever to kill the babies, and like, and I would say that Jesus was a human sacrifice, actually, according to that story, as well as Abraham that took his Isaac. And that is that right? The name's Isaac.
Yeah,
Took him
so
out.
to
Yeah.
answer that question, God has never asked for or required a child sacrifice. It is very true to say that Jesus was a sacrifice. We even refer to Jesus as a sacrifice. But the story of Abraham and his son Isaac is a little bit different because God's true intention was just to test Abraham's faith. It was never for him to sacrifice his son, as his son was a part of the redemption plan, and without him, we never would have been able to get the 12 tribes, which brought us Jesus the Messiah.
Well, what about Jephthah? Is that the right name? Who ends up having to burn his daughter as a burnt offering because he tells
What
God.
you're referring to is the man in the Bible who says, Lord, if you give me whatever I'm asking for, the first person I see when I return home, I will kill and sacrifice to you. And when he arrives, his daughter comes out, so he then does it. However, I would point out in that story, God does not ask him to make that promise, and then God never told him to follow through. He made the promise on his own, and then you see that the follow through also came from him, a mortal man.
But didn't, like in the story of Isaac, though, didn't God send an angel to
Yeah,
specific?
2-minute warning, so 3 minutes from here with the extra minute, Robin.
Right. Didn't God send an angel that specifically went down and physically stopped Abraham from killing Isaac? And so why didn't he send one to save her?
That's a good question. I can't answer that because I've never studied that particular one out. I will say in the example of Abraham sacrificing Isaac, it's interesting because the angel was already there. He didn't have to be sent from heaven. He was already in the geographical location. As we know, the angels dwell in heaven with the Lord.
He was already in the geographical location. That was cute.
He's in the neighborhood, Robin.
He was in the neighborhood. Oh my goodness. I might not able to recover from that one right there.
That was my plan.
I think I'm done there, Rich. I'm sorry, I can't even remember your name now. Rich, I'm done now.
He'd make a nice Rick.
Yeah.
It actually was my nickname for while my mom was alive. She called me Ricky, which was Little Rick.
Little Ricky.
Then I grew up and I was about 1.5 feet taller than
Yeah, I was gonna say you ain't been Little Ricky for a long time, I don't think. You're very tall, aren't you?
Yeah, about 6'1", yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so now we're going to move into our open discussion. Get 20 minutes just pleasantly conversing back and forth. I'm going to give you a 5-minute warning and then a 2-minute warning at the end. So I guess, yeah, go ahead anytime.
All right. You want to start it off, Robin? You have any
I
questions?
can't think of anything. I'm still stuck on that. He was in the neighborhood thing. I'm still rolling around that in my head.
Okay. Let me see what I have written down here. So first, let's define religion. Can we both agree that religion would be primarily faith-based?
Yes, or revelation. I would say that it's all like the Bible is considered revelation, like because it was revealed to prior people in that faith to write down. So like I would say that revelation and faith, you wouldn't count revelation.
It depends on what you would call revelation. I think my perception of revelation and yours may be a little different. Like for you, I would assume it would be more of a eureka moment. And for me, it would be, an angel of the Lord telling Stephen to stop being an idiot, which very likely.
Well, I mean, I would say like if the story of the Exodus, by God, splitting the Red Sea, and so that the Hebrews can cross the sea. I mean, that would be a moment of revelation. Like, because that would be where God shows himself and makes, and does something in front of people. Like any miracle would be a revelation, I think. Like when Jesus heals the ear of the soldier, or brings Lazarus back from the dead, or anything like that would be a revelation. Or when Paul even claims to have seen Jesus on the road to Damascus, that would be revelation.
Okay. Yeah, I could accept that.
Yeah. God reveals himself in a way that's sort of.
Although in the case of the Red Sea crossing, I don't know if that is as much revelation as common sense. So God parts the Red Sea in front of you, and even the land at the bottom of the sea is dry. It says they walked upon dry land. And you have a very irritated Pharaoh and an angst Egyptian army behind you. Common sense would just dictate to cross that thing.
Oh, I'm not saying that them crossing it was revelation. I'm just saying
Right.
that him performing that miracle would be a way of him revealing his power, revealing his authority, revealing his, his revealing his care for the tribe, that of the Hebrews that he brought out of Israel. Out of Egypt.
Sure.
So,
Would you say that my religion is a religion because of the amount of faith it takes? Like, I can't observe God create the world, and that would make it a faith-based opinion?
I think that, I think that I think that most religions are faith-based. I know I recognize that the Bible is, but I believe that Christianity calls for it to be a faith-based. I believe the Bible makes that argument that you must have faith. So that it is a requirement by God's standards in the Bible.
Okay. You made the claim earlier, I think it was in your first rebuttal, or it was in your opening statement. And I just lost my train of thought. Isn't that something?
Sounds like something I'd do.
Man, this is going terrible, Robin.
No, it's not. I think it's going good.
Okay. Okay, so with faith, do you honestly believe that there's nothing about the evolutionary theory that is not testable or demonstratable, that you have to take on assumptions, or lack of better phrase, faith?
I don't. Like me, if I didn't know anything about evolution, if I knew nothing about evolution, and I just accepted evolution based on the fact that other biologists, I still wouldn't call that faith. I would call that confidence in the process, or sort of referring to the authorities, sort of but I still don't think it's faith, because I see faith as something that is belief in the absence of evidence. Because if you had evidence, you wouldn't have to have faith.
Okay, so you really truly believe that every single element of evolution comes with a set of facts?
Well, I wouldn't use the word facts. It has evidence, like data. There's evidence. Like they're not really facts. Not like I don't. Like the theory of evolution has like some laws, like what they call natural laws that are included. Then there's going to be just certain like processes, like the natural selection, and you've got sexual selection and genetic drifts and genetic mutations and stuff like that. But it explains all of that, and it will explain the data using that model.
Okay. You would use the term, I believe, species. I would use the term kind. But you made the point earlier that no species or kind has ever been observed to birth something other than itself, and that's not a claim evolution makes. But my question is, with that theory, how do we get from ape form to robin form?
Well, we have as far as I know, I think when we branched off from our closest living relatives, which are the bonobos and the chimpanzees, the pans, what they're called pans, that was 7 million years ago, is when that is thought to have happened. That our ancestors that ended up becoming Homo sapiens branched off from the other pans. Um, that's 7 million years of like incremental mutations, and there's been times of like quicker evolutionary change depending on the pressures that the environment um, put on the organisms.
So I see how you guys kind of get around our questioning when you can make the claim that that nothing ever gave birth to something other than itself. But to me, in my worldview, it just seems a little disingenuous, because if we go far back enough, you guys believe that we were creatures living in the oceans and breathing water through gills. And then today, if you hold Robin or Stephen underwater for too long, it's either a baptism or murder, like, because we can't breathe underwater. So isn't it honestly kind of fair to say that we're not the same as we were then? So, like, in a way, even though you put millions of years between, something is birthing something different.
I reckon that I've always been told that the process of going from breathing underwater to breathing air was a lot easier than going back to the underwater thing. I don't know why, but like I'd say that whales kind of show that, because they're still having to have air, and they've been millions and millions of years they've been back in the water. But and there was something you said that was going to make me. I was thinking, yeah, we don't give birth to different species. All right, okay, I know what I was going to think of. And I don't really care much for Richard Dawkins. I think he's done a lot of work in biology, but I'm not a personal fan of him. But I'm going to use an analogy he gave. Okay, he tells a story about if you have an airplane or a time machine, and you go back, I go back 10,000 years, and I pick up a human, and then I go back another 10,000 years, and I pick up another human. Okay, every one of them humans are going to be pretty much alike the one that was right before them and right after them. But once we get to where we've got like 10 humans on the time machine, and we went back 100,000 or 200,000 years or a million years, whatever, there's going to be quite a bit of difference between the first one that got on the time machine and the last one that got on the time machine. And so that's the way that you have to think about it. It's just incremental change. I mean, we creationists accept it in dogs, and so that kind of blows my mind, because like if you looked at a Chihuahua and a Great Dane, do they look like the same species? No.
Yes, I actually did this experiment with my son, and I showed him a picture of a larger dog, and I showed him a picture of a Chihuahua, and he immediately was able to identify at 5 years old that these are both dogs.
Yes, because he's been taught that language by you, that were dogs. But like if you had never seen a dog before in your life, and you met a Chihuahua in the wild, and then you met a Great Dane in the wild, would you not assume that they were probably two different animals?
I think the bark would give it away. Dead ringer.
Well, yeah, they sound well. Chihuahuas bark all the time. Great Danes, I don't know, they don't bark near as much as Chihuahuas, but
because in my worldview, Chihuahuas are demonically possessed.
So how in your worldview do you account for the change that was made in dogs? Because I would say that was like human selection is what created those different varieties of the same species.
Absolutely, and it's the same explanation that you gave earlier about skin pigment, depending upon geographical locations that you live, based off of that. But I would actually say that speciation in dog breeds, or what we would call variations of kinds, is actually proof of an intelligent designer, because we bred Chihuahuas to be that small. We bred Great Danes specifically to be that big.
Yes, I mean, like human selection is probably a lot faster, because you pick out the animals that most represent the traits that you're wanting, and you only breed those with other animals that have those traits, which is why a lot of dogs have a lot of inbreeding health like related issues, is because they're just constantly, like certain dogs like corgis are bred to be short-legged, very short-legged, and what is it? The wiener dogs, dachshunds have a lot of back issues because they were bred to be so long, and that they're really too long, really, for their backs, sort of. So.
Yeah, and that's kind of like we talked about earlier. In my opinion, that's like a loss of information, because if you take the Chihuahua or the Wiener dog, neither of those are going to survive in the wild the first time they come face to face with a raccoon.
I would say not. I mean, any animal that we domesticate is not, even cat. Like I think cats would probably be one of the easiest to go into because feral cats do usually do pretty good. Dogs, though, on the other hand, have been very domesticated by humans, and domestication makes a big change in animals. Like foxes, there was a fox experiment where a guy he would take the most friendly foxes and he would breed them to the other most friendly foxes, and it took very few generations for him to bring about. I can't remember what it is, but their faces will become more juvenile looking, and their tails will become like limp. Their tails will not stand up straight, and their ears will go down too. After domestication, it's something that happens when we domesticate animals.
Okay. Why do you think, if I can ask a question, why do you think we have a lack of transitional fossils between where we are now and our closest common ancestor, as you put it earlier, and I can't remember the name?
Well, we have a lot of fossils. Actually, we're probably lucky we have any fossils, because fossils are very, it's very hard for fossils to form. There's only specific conditions where they form. They have to go into sediment right away after dying, and sort of things like that. There has to be specific conditions for them to form. But we have thousands of the species of Lucy, which is the Australopithecus. Okay, Lucy was the first, and she's a very incomplete subject.
But without the transitional fossils, how do you make that jump from Lucy to us without an element of faith?
But we have lots of other ones. We have all kinds of fossils of species in between.
Not enough to add up.
I don't know. Do you have any idea how many we have?
Even if it's 1,000, it's not enough to explain the gradual
Homo
change.
erectus. We have Homo, what is it? Something ensis, Homo africanus.
I'll give you guys a concession, and let's just say that we have found 500 intermediate species. That's still not a sufficient amount to get from Lucy to Robin. There's still an element of faith that has to be implemented.
There's inference. It's not faith. It's inference. I mean, you have to, there's some inference to it. But what we see is when we see okay, Lucy's the first species that we found so far.
5 minutes left.
That has bipedalism. Okay, so that is one of the main differences between us and the other apes, because the guy that did categorize these species and stuff, he was a Christian. Okay, and he did all of this prior to evolution being written up by Darwin, and he still though offered people any kind to write him and explain to him any good reason not to put the category that puts the humans in the category with the other apes, because he could find no difference that was actually justified him separating those. I mean, we have certain teeth. There's we don't have sharp canine teeth. We have flat teeth like that. There's something about our knee, a valgus knee. There's something about our pelvic bone, and then our the only thing is, but bipedalism is the one thing that separates us from the other apes, because the other apes, some of them are knuckle walkers or whatever. They stayed in the trees, but they do not walk upright all the time. Most of the other apes can walk upright most of the time or some of the time, but they don't walk upright all the time. And they, chimpanzees and stuff, actually would have a really hard time doing that all the time. Um,
Is it your opinion that there are no two completely different species that look a lot alike?
oh yeah, I mean, like I
Not
said,
related, but look alike?
I don't know about not related. I think there's probably some what they call convergent um evolution. Like if you take animals that were on Australia's landmass that were separated from us long enough that there were no mammals when we went to Australia originally, and there were no mammals on the whole continent, and that's because Australia had split off with the large mammal mass before mammals evolved. So they were all marsupial animals, but there were a lot of similar because the environment creates certain niches, similar niches, no matter where it is, then animals will evolve to fit that niche, which is why we have convergent evolution, to where we have similar things like rodents and stuff that would seem to appear in just about every area that are not related to each other.
You mentioned earlier the spectacular circumstances that have to occur in order to preserve a fossil, which I agree with you on that point. So my question for you is, do you really believe in your heart that there is no chance
minutes.
whatsoever that something like Lucy could be its own individual kind, totally separate from humankind? Not a chance at all? Not even 1%?
I don't believe anything in my heart. My heart pumps blood. My brain is where like my thoughts and beliefs and stuff reside, and I don't think that, I mean, I think anything's possible. I go by plausibility and not possibility or conceivability. I think that certainty is almost certainly unattainable. But I think that it's the best inference. That inference is the best explanation that we have, and it seems to find everything we find from now on. So far, every time we find a new discovery, a new fossil, it seems to fit right in with the data instead of being opposed to it. It may change something like a timeline or a descendant or something, but it doesn't seem to like overthrow the whole theory.
Okay, do you or do you not believe that lions and tigers and house cats are related?
Yeah, they're all cats, but they're like a long way from each other. They're very far. I would say tigers and lions are not that far because they can actually produce offspring. I don't know if they can produce fertile offspring or whatever that can reproduce, but I know that there's
30
ligers
seconds. Wrap it up, please.
and tines or whatever they're called, ligers or something like that.
Man, Rich is strict on this time. Good job.
The house cats are way far away from those animals there.
Okay. But you do leave open at least 1% that it's possible Lucy is its own separate kind or species.
I leave a spot for fallibility always in most everything I try to anyway.
I really respect that, Robin.
Okay, let's move on. Really good discussion. I did hold back on having Robin, ask more questions because most of the questions that we have in the comments are directed towards Stephen. And again,
that's fine. I do have one question.
Do our closing statements, and so if any of you guys listening have any question, now's the time to get them in. In 10 minutes, we will move on to those. So,
well, one second, Rich. I want to grant Robin one more question. She said,
"Yeah, I have a question."
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Like if you say that, like all cats came out of one cat that was on the ark, can you understand how fast the evolutionary model, like how much change would have had to have happened? Because I mean, I think creationists accept evolution. They just don't accept the natural selection part of it and the nested hierarchy and stuff like that. But you think that like every cat that we see on the planet today came from the same cat, and do you not? I mean, do you not marvel at how fast evolution would have had to have worked, because it's a whole lot faster than what even we're claiming.
No, I do totally believe in variations of kind, and I do believe in rapid, quick expansion of those variations. So in the 6,000 years, I have no problem believing that we could get a million types of the same kind because of, speciation or developing different traits at different parts of the world, climates. I agree with that, and I don't have a problem with it. My problem is seeing something from the ocean turn into an astronaut, even when you give it billions of years.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Robin. So,
Thank you.
you're muted, Rich.
Yeah, could be better for some. It's a great discussion, guys. So we're going to move into closing statements. Everybody's going to have 5 minutes to present their closing arguments. Robin, we will start with you. I'll start the timer when you start talking.
At the end of this debate, we return to the central question: is evolution a religion? And after everything we've heard tonight, the answer remains clear: no, evolution is not a religion. The core issue is categories. This debate ultimately comes down to one thing: categories. Religion and science are not the same kind of thing. I like that. Religion deals with worship, moral obligation, sacred truth, ultimate meaning. Science deals with observation, evidence, testing, and explanation. Throughout this debate, the affirmative has attempted to blur that line, but they have not erased it. And unless that line disappears, this argument fails, because you cannot call something a religion if it does not function as a religion. The missing elements: if evolution is a religion, then it must include the defining features of an evolution. So where is the worship? Where are the moral laws? Where is the sacred authority? Where is the doctrine of salvation? These are not minor details. These are core elements of religion, and evolution has none of them. No commandments issued by biology, no prayer to mutations. A system without worship is not a religion. A system without moral authority is not religion, and a system without the sacred is not a religion. What the affirmative actually showed: some people strongly believe in evolution. Some defend it passionately. Some treat it as unquestionable. But that proves sometimes about people more than about evolution. The danger of redefinition. At its core, the affirmative's case relies on redefining religion so broadly that it includes almost anything. But if everything becomes a religion, that word loses all its meaning. And precise definitions show that evolution, whether one accepts it or not, is a scientific theory, not a religious system. Let me leave you with this simple distinction. Evolution explains how life changes. Religion explains why life matters. Evolution is based on evidence. Religion is grounded in faith and revelation. Evolution is revisible. Religion is devotional. These are not competing systems necessarily. They are different kinds of systems altogether. This debate was never about whether evolution was true. It was about whether it was a religion. And the affirmative has not showed any of the traits of a religion that appear in evolution. So the claim collapses. Thank you.
You have 2 minutes left. Would you like to say anything else?
I'd like to thank Stephen for this debate. This is our third or fourth debate.
Yeah.
And we've not got into one fight yet.
Well, I mean, there's been quite a battle going on in the comments, so.
Yes, I imagine. I'm sure we have some very passionate people on both sides on our channels. Yes.
Oh yeah.
I just wouldn't worry about it too much unless they use some kind of really bad slur or something, or threat violence. Unless they threaten violence or something, or whatever.
There was one person I had to put backstage, but it was calm mostly. But there was quite an argument going on there for a little while. Okay, Stephen, 5 minutes, brother, for your closing argument. Then we'll move on to questions.
All right, thank you for that. So, is evolution a religion? Now, ladies and gentlemen, tonight I've argued that evolution, as commonly presented and defended in our culture, functions not merely as scientific theory, but as a worldview and in many ways as a religion. Now, let me be very clear so I'm not misunderstood in my closing. Yes, adaptation happens. Yes, natural selection happens. Yes, science is a valuable tool. That is not what is in question tonight. The question is this: when does a scientific theory stop being science and start becoming a belief system about reality, origins, and meaning? Because evolution, as it's often presented, does not just explain small changes in organisms. It is used to explain the origin of life, the diversity of life, the origin of human beginnings, the origin of morality, the origin of consciousness, the origin of religion, the meaning of suffering, the future of humanity. Basically, it's the orator of all things. At some point, we're no longer talking about testable, repeatable science. We're talking about a story about where we came from, why we are here, and where we are going. And historically, that's exactly what religion has always done. Religion answers the big questions. Where did we come from? Why are we here? What is right and wrong? What happens to us in the future? When evolution is used to answer those questions, it's no longer just biology. It becomes a worldview. And here's a key point. Many people do not merely accept evolution as a scientific model. They defend it, protect it, and build their entire understanding of reality around it. It becomes untouchable. It becomes dogma. It becomes the lens through which everything else is interpreted. When a belief system explains origins, explains meaning, explains morality, has its own authorities, experts, has its own accepted text, textbooks, journals, has doctrines that cannot be questioned without social consequences, and requires belief in events no human ever observed, then we're no longer dealing with something that behaves purely like science. It behaves like religion. Now, my opponent, who is quite lovely and one of my very dear friends, will say, but evolution doesn't have temples, priests, or prayers. But religion's not defined by buildings and rituals alone. Religion is defined by ultimate beliefs about reality that shape how you interpret everything else. And for many in our modern world, evolution is exactly that. It's not just a tool. It's not just a theory. It is the very foundation for their view of reality. So the real issue tonight is not whether natural selection exists. The real issue is this: has evolution become, for many people, a comprehensive belief system about origins, meaning, and reality that is treated as unquestionable truth? If the answer to that question is yes, and I believe the evidence shows that it is, then evolution in practice and in function operates as a religion for many people in the modern world. So tonight, I ask you to think carefully about the difference between science as a method and evolution as a worldview, because those are not the same thing. And if evolution is being used not just as a scientific explanation, but as a grand story of origins, meaning, morality, and destiny, then by definition, it is functioning as a religion. Thank you very much. And with the very remainder of my time, I would just like to sincerely thank Robin for doing this with me. I want to say, Robin, I really appreciate these back and forths. And honestly, I don't even really but barely consider these a debate because I have so much fun having these conversations with you. So I really appreciate that we're able to do that. Thank you.
I'm just hoping I teach you some evolution.
And I'm trying to get you saved and dunked.
And dunked.
Well, I mean, we can dunk her underwater without her being saved, you know.
Don't make me try to breathe underwater, though, whatever you do. Don't make me try to breathe.
Yeah, as Robin stated earlier, Rich, it's much harder to go back that direction.
Yeah, and I can't, all these years smoking, I can't hold my breath underwater for very long either anymore. I used to be able to, though. I do swim like a fish. I mean, I breathe like one, but I swim like one.
I've always been on the heftier side, so holding my breath underwater is just not, reality for me. It's outside of my
world. You go and hope you float back up. That's probably what we'll do.
That's what I'm thinking.
There is a tribe though of people who like live on islands and stuff, and they dive for like food and stuff and seafood and stuff, and like their lungs are far expanded beyond most humans. Like they can hold they've kind of evolved a the ability to hold their breath a lot longer.
Isn't it like 5 or 10 minutes or even more? They can go underwater and hold
They
their
stand
breath.
there pretty while, yeah.
Yeah,
Most of us would die before we could hold our,
I hate to cut this fun conversation short, but we've got 20 questions. We need to answer here. At least
All right.
Make sure you. I don't know, but like parse them. If you see some that are kind of the same question, Rich, feel free.
Yeah, I've been going through them. I think we did pretty good. I mean, there's a couple good joke questions in there which are fun, but
yeah,
okay.
you don't. Yeah, you can do. I mean, do the serious questions or whatever. Mostly.
And Robin, are you going to do an after show, or are you open to opening up the panel after this?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Rich, you don't have to read. You don't have to read anything that is very offensive. Like I won't be mad at you.
No, any offensive stuff. I mean, I had to kick one other person out for his profanity after I warned him. So, but he should be back in a couple minutes. But anyway, here's the first one. This is from Phantom X11.
Hey, Phantom.
How does evolution define morality?
I would assume this question is for me. So, for Robin.
Oh, for me? Well, I mean,
you're defending evolution. Do you guys want to switch real quick, or?
Well, I don't think the theory of evolution actually claims to define morality, but I do think that we are seeing evidence that moral systems did develop in like social species out of necessity, because social species require the like cooperation of multiple individuals in making a society. And so morality, because we do see morality in other species, other social animals, especially the apes. Usually they all have some sort of, there's reciprocity is even in monkeys, where they expect fairness.
Okay, good answer. Stephen, you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I would say right now we only have two possible explanations. We have the scientific theory, which is evolution, and then we have the Christian worldview, or the religion worldview, which is that God created it. So if we can prove morality, and I think we can, because me as a believer and Robin as an unbeliever, we both agree murder is wrong, so we have that morality. If God didn't give it to us, then we developed it through the means of evolution.
Okay, good answers, guys. Let's move on to the next one. Stephen, this is from you, from Nathan Barth. Question is, where is evidence your God exists?
I would say our best evidence that God exists is our sacred text, aka the Bible, and join that with the archaeological evidence that we have found. So I mentioned the city of David earlier. It's mentioned in the Bible. Then we dug up the city of David. The Bible talked about the Hyksos, and then we found proof of the Hyksos people. Like, archaeology has been a wonderful tool to prove my religion, that God exists.
Okay, good answer. Next one.
Well, for every question, Robin gets to answer it also.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Robin.
I didn't even remember what the original question was because I wasn't paying attention. But the only thing I would comment on is Stephen's. I would say the archaeology has not always like backed up the Bible. You may have some of it, yes. I don't deny that some of the Bible is true anyway. So,
okay, thank you.
All right. Next question comes from Charles Sexton. Are you descendant from a fish? In other words, do you have a brain of a fish modified by millions of random mutations?
Actually, a fish. I don't even think that a fish is actually a really actual category of animals, but according to science. But yes, I think that my very, very distant great times million grandfather probably came out of the water at some time or another and came on the land.
Okay.
Steve, anything to add?
Yeah, my answer. Hello, Charles. Good to see you. I would say no. I am not related to a fish. I in no way have the brains of a fish. And even if we took it from billions of years to trillions of years, I just think it's scientifically and physically impossible for a fish to, get through all the stages, through all the intermediate species, and then eventually arrive to us today. I just don't see it plausible at all.
Okay, good answers. Next one is scientific origins. How do you differentiate true God claims from false ones?
I'm assuming this is for me. I would say evidence that, especially in archaeology, and, you can use parts of the Bible to verify later parts that affirm one another, even though they're written in some cases 1,000 years apart and they're harmonious, versus other religions like Islam, which just collapses on its own.
I'm
Robbie?
thinking I had a word that I was wanting to ask, and like when you can discernment. That's where I want to go with that. A lot of Christians will claim discernment, and I think that sometimes I have trouble with the discernment claim. That's because we see a lot of different opinions in the same religion.
Okay, good answers. Let's see here. So next question, again, is from Scientific Origins. Question for Stephen. If evidence is in conflict with the Bible, which do you consider a higher source of truth? The verifiable evidence in the world, which God supposedly made, or religious scripture?
I think it's, with all respect, a false question because, in my opinion, there has never been anything in the Bible that is disproven. I mean, I'm open to a conversation if you can show me something, or maybe we could set up a conversation, but you'd have to show me an example so I could address it specifically.
You can come in after the questions. Stephen, are you up for doing some opening the panel for a little bit, or been going on about 90 minutes so far?
I was going to suggest to Robin that we open up the panel, but she wants to do an after show on her channel, so I'm going to encourage everybody to go to the Robin Webster YouTube channel. I'm going to try to join her over there, and Rich, you can come because I'll need some backup. I'm about to get gang jumped by a bunch of Asians.
No, I ain't going to let them do that to you. No.
They're going to bring me behind the wood shop.
No.
With or without the axe?
I know you ain't scared. You're a soldier for the Lord, remember?
Hallelujah.
with your armor on. What was this? Was I supposed to answer something?
All the question was for Stephen. If you want to throw something in there, go right ahead.
Go ahead. I don't remember what the question was now. I jumped in.
Okay. We'll just move on then.
I do have the brain of a fish, see?
Can you swim at least?
A goldfish. Yes, I can swim like a fish. Yes. And I do have the memory of a goldfish. Yes.
What?
A goldfish.
This is from Oceanus Helios.
Mm-hmm.
How do you approach the field of immunology of God did the thing?
I'll be honest. I don't even understand the question, to be honest with you.
I think immunology is like vaccines or immune system. Yeah.
So I mean, I have no problem with vaccines, helping the human development, because I believe that from the fall, we have experienced a generation after generation of DNA informational loss. Like, I believe we have been deteriorating ever since the fall, not evolving into something better, which is what Robin and I would be today versus the dumb fish, the dumb goldfish.
Except I ain't that much better.
I think you're a lot better, Robin.
A lot better looking than Stephen, that's for sure.
Thank you, Rich. That's so nice.
Well, I hate to agree because she's my opponent, but yeah, I do agree.
This next one's for Stephen by Felicia by Nature. Yeah, okay. Stephen, how do you reconcile Amigo D. I don't even know what that is. Feel free to read it. With biologic bodies being born, growing up, being adults, getting old, and eventually dying.
I don't even know. I didn't see the
I
question.
mean, honestly, I really don't understand the question, but yes, I do believe that people are born, we grow up, and then eventually die. I think Robin agrees with that too.
I don't know what the question. Let's see. I I don't know. I didn't understand what it
Imago
was.
D. Is that a typo? Maybe I'm not familiar with that terminology. Can look
There
it up real
you
quick.
can't post it like you can't put it on the screen.
It
It
is
is
on the
on the
screen.
screen.
It's there at the bottom.
Oh my gosh, it's in a little bitty.
A foundational Judeo-Christian doctrine starting that human beings are created in God's likeness, giving them inherent dignity, purpose, and unique relationship with the divine. I guess it's Latin.
Oh, okay, Latin.
Latin for image of God.
I did take Latin in school, but I don't remember much of it. Actually,
Yeah, so again, I believe the first copy, Adam, would be in the image of God, but ever since the fall, which we believe would be the Garden of Eden, we've seen a rapid deterioration, would be my answer for you.
I would say that they probably did rapidly decline after the Adam and Eve because there was a lot of incestual breeding, I would think, or something, right? I don't know.
Only in Alabama.
Kentucky is also a capital for that as well.
Well, let's keep this back on topic.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Again from Oceanus Helios. Religion presupposes supernatural explanation. All of them do, including Buddhism, which is can't read. It's too late. All of them do, including Buddhism, which is essentially atheistic. Where is the supernatural explanation in science? What a stupid claim.
Okay. I would like to address this. So the supernatural claim would be the Big Bang. So the universe is sitting there before a rapid expansion. It's smoking a cigarette. It's watching reruns of Braveheart, and then for no reason, no initiator, just poof, rapid expansion. If that is not a supernatural event, then neither is parting the Red Sea.
I wish I could throw in my 2 cents, but I'm moderating. I'm not part of this debate.
I know, it's
Well,
Rich.
Rich,
very
that's
hard.
why I need you to come with me to Robin's channel after the show.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You won't be required to yeah. Restrain.
Okay,
And
I will
actually,
do that.
the debate's over with. You're not a moderator anymore, so you can actually state your position anyway. So yeah.
Is that all right, Stephen?
Yeah, if
I
Robin
mean,
says it's fine, she's the guest.
Well, I
You
mean,
know,
yeah.
I am
Like,
a creationist, and I don't agree with evolution, but from supernatural explanation of science, where do I start? Laws of thermodynamics. Matter, energy cannot be created or destroyed. Neither can gravity, space, or time. Everything here is in existence and is in contradiction with that law of thermodynamics. So basically, since it's in contradiction with the existence of everything, I believe it shows that the supernatural is necessary to put it into existence. Also, everything is in motion, and if you follow it all the way back with Newton's third law of motion, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. You will see eventually that something had to put the universe into motion. And since the first law of motion says that an object at rest will remain at rest unless a force is acted upon it, that says that the universe cannot go into motion by itself. So, quick answer, those two laws of physics show that the universe cannot create itself or put itself into motion, and supernaturalism is very relevant and necessary for everything to be here. Does that work?
it's pretty quick.
What Rich said.
That was what I would call it. That was what I call a gish gallop.
Yeah, sure. All right. Going on to the next one. Felicia by nature. For Stephen, could you clarify what you mean by evolution? Do you mean biological evolution, or do you fold cosmology, abiogenesis, etc. into evolution? If so, why conflate the subjects?
because they are absolutely 100% related. And not only are they related, but they are kissing cousins. And the reason I say that is you cannot get to biological evolution without cosmology. You cannot do it. Without the Big Bang, you can't get the stardust that sprinkled on the earth with the radioactive soup. It doesn't happen. You need one for the other. They're kissing cousins. You cannot separate the two, even though I know that you guys love to.
And he got on to me for bringing up the cousin thing.
Well, I mean, abiogenesis, all the evolutionists claim that it is not because they cannot prove it happens, but the entire foundation of evolution is based that life can create itself, which has never been proven.
That I would say that is not like
Cute cat, by the way.
Like we don't. Evolution does not make any claims on how life arose. It just, maybe God made a cell. I don't know. So it's abiogenesis.
We can say what I'll stop there since I'm moderating. Scientific origins. Question for Stephen.
And I want to let you know, this is Austin Sims. He is a biologist, so he may have some hard questions.
Hey, and I just want to mention, guys, out in the comment section, there's multiple people in this debate. You could have asked Robin how she's doing today.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I let her, questions get answered by you during the discussion, because most of these questions are being targeted at you.
President Dan didn't even come up with a question for me.
Oh, we'll find out. We're like maybe not even halfway through them yet. So, another question for Stephen. Why do you trust science to figure out electron spin or photoelectric effect, but not the Big Bang? Abiogenesis and evolution. They're based on the same methods and principles.
I don't know if necessarily I do agree with both of those, but I would say for the Big Bang, you have to go back in time billions of years. And correct me if I'm wrong, I may not be up to date on science, but I don't think we have invented the time machine yet, because I would borrow that bad boy and undo a lot of life mistakes.
I think a lot of us would, brother. But God will use you anyway.
He's really scraping the bottom of the barrel, Rich.
I don't know if I'm allowed to make a statement on why I don't think the universe can expand from a singularity. This would be a good point for it. Robin, can I do that?
Yes.
All right. Oh, by the way, before I forget, in 18 hours, T-minus 18 hours or so, we're probably a little more. We're launching humans to the moon for the first time in 54 years. 6:30 p.m. Eastern. They're launching Artemis 2, which is just going to do a quick loop around the moon, be about a 9 or 10 day mission. That being said, escape velocity and understanding it is key. So if you threw something up in the air, gravity would slow it down and pull it back down. If you threw it even harder, it would reach a higher apogee and then come back down a little later. Now eventually you'll put enough energy into it, you'll throw that object so fast that gravity won't be able to slow it down and pull it back towards Earth, and it'll just drift off into space, in this case orbit around the sun. But that's basically what escape velocity is. Now every planetary body has its own escape velocity. That's one way we know that gravity is based on the overall density of the planet. And I'm not going to pull up my slides, but if you took all of the stars that are estimated, which is 100 billion trillion, I believe.
A lot.
A lot, and put them into one singularity, you would have a gravity well so large that you would need a velocity about 412 quintillion times faster than the speed of light. And the universe has a maximum velocity of the speed of light. So the gravity well made by the singularity would be too massive for anything to escape from itself. So that's why I don't believe the universe can expand from a singularity.
I would just point out that there's a lot of confusion about the word singularity. Not sure how to
black hole.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure how well defined that is, but what King Hovind says, smaller than a P or a period or something
Yeah,
like that.
that
I
is.
think that the singularity is just proposed as a denser, hotter state. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's all of the mass in the universe basically together in one.
But I'm not sure that they
single
define
state of
it
matter.
as they define what size it was. Like I think it just means at one time all of the matter was in a denser, hotter state.
I believe, according to space.com, it's written as an infinitesimal um, singularity, small, dense point, meaning it's so small we couldn't even measure it.
That's massively
dense.
well defined, isn't it? Infinitesimal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all.
How big is an infinitesimal?
I don't know. You can't even compress water more than 7%, let alone get all the mass into one dense sphere. I think their theory is, that because gravity would be so strong, it'll pull on itself where it's basically so compressed, but it wouldn't be able to expand from itself. Anyway, let's move on.
I skipped physics class. Yes, I wasn't good enough at math or physics.
Here's another one for Steven. I don't know if you're still there. Yep, you're still there.
I'm still
can
here.
You explain the North American possum, the observed evidence of its migrations, evolution, and inability to breed with its South American cousin.
No, I can't explain that, but my question is, how does that relate to evolution being a religion?
Good point. Next question.
Let me answer it.
Go ahead.
Let me try to. Okay, the North American possum is the only.
It tastes pretty good. Well, no, I've never had it, by the way.
It's the only marsupial that we have left on the North American continent. From like I said when I was mentioning Australia earlier, that about how everything was marsupials there. Marsupials predate mammals, and so this is the only one we have left. And the fact that it can't breed with his South American cousin would just
that's what it says.
That's genetic drift. That's an example of genetic drift, where that they've been separated so far. Populations have from each other to where they've mutated to the point to where even if they seem to be sort of the same animal, they still can't produce offspring. So.
And see, I would think your answer actually gives credence to creation, Robin, because that again proves genetic code deterioration, which we would explain by the fall.
I don't know if I didn't say they were deteriorated. I said they're mutated different, like they're, yeah.
I mean, if you have a species that can no longer reproduce with itself, if that's not deterioration, I don't know what is.
But possum, like it can with its own population. It just can't breed with other populations. But yeah, possums, they hardly ever fall. They have really good hanging tails. They don't fall much.
I have no tail.
Me neither.
Well, I've got two next questions, which you can kind of tie together.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're for Steven.
Yeah, probably from Doom Based. The first one is, was God formed from energy?
No, God was absolutely in no way formed from anything. God pre-exists energy. He is the originator of energy. He is outside of time, space, and matter, as I'm sure you've heard Dr. Kent Hovind say. So no, God was not formed from energy. God is the creator of energy.
Robin, you got anything?
No, I don't know. I have no position on God, how God came about.
Right. You should know this one, Stephen. I mean, you are wearing the shirt in that picture in the background to be able to answer it.
Nice shirt.
Where did God come from?
Well, the question, where did God come from, demonstrates that you're thinking of the wrong God, because the God of the Bible exists outside of time, space, and matter. He has to. It's a continuum of trinities. You have to have a God outside of time, space, and matter in order to get time, space, and matter.
Good answer, brother. It's almost word for word.
I'll just make one thing. Like, I don't think that anybody's demonstrated any of that. Like, I think those are claims, and they have demonstrated.
Not
Well,
for us, Robin, because we have faith.
They're post hoc explanations.
So, like, here's an analogy that Stephen mixed. It's actually one of Dr. Hoven's analogy, probably the best one I've heard. So, the guy who created this computer that everybody's staring at isn't inside the computer running around the screen and changing the numbers and stuff like that. The engineer stands outside of it and put it all together into place. So, from the computer's point of view, the engineer has always been, if that makes sense.
I would just say that computers are not biological
Well, I
organisms.
was using that as an analogy.
Okay. I know, but like I think that when I hear a lot of, like, Donnie does this too. He'll analogize like cars and biology and but cars don't reproduce. Computers don't reproduce. They don't have genetic information. They don't have they don't reproduce. They don't produce offspring.
Some computer software has been able to write its own code, and like the engineer wrote the code, God, wrote the software within our DNA and stuff.
Yeah, but DNA is not really software. It's sort of analogous to it in a loose sense. I mean, like but it's not identical to it, because like computer software is like numbers, ones and zeros or whatever. That's not. We have, like, our DNA is it's got, I think, 4 different things, and it can be in all different kind of. I'm not a geneticist. There you go, geneticist. I'm not really anything. I was a truck driver, so
I drove a truck at one point too, man. It's one thing we had in common.
I hauled milk, so these are hard questions for milk haulers.
You single-handedly took on the Amish, Robin. Don't sell yourself short.
I didn't take them on. I was very good friends with the Amish.
You snuck up in the middle of the night and ran off with their milk.
Yeah, they want you to come get their milk. They want you to come get their milk.
All right.
Definitely. If you don't come get their milk, they're upset about it.
Okay, this question, Robin, is for Stephen again. Wolves and Chihuahuas share a common ancestor. Do you think a wolf would select a Chihuahua as a mate? And keep in mind the answer is no.
Okay, so you're asking me, and I want to make sure I get this right. You're asking me if a wolf is sexually attracted to a Chihuahua, and I would say, I have no idea. You should ask him.
Yeah, he would have to get the Chihuahua to hush long enough, I think, probably.
Okay, these next 2 questions, if I'm allowed, these were ones that I thought of during part of Robin's statement. Can I say them?
Yes, because nobody asked me any questions, so yes, you can go.
Okay. So, how do you prove that any fossil had offspring?
How do you prove it? I don't think you can, like, show that a fossil had offspring, but you have to, like, obviously a fossil had a parent. And then like, some of these species existed on the earth, according to our dating methods, far longer than what Homo sapiens have actually existed on the planet. So obviously they would have had offspring, some of them. Like an individual, no, I don't think you can prove that they had offspring. I don't. And sometimes it's rather difficult to even tell, like, the sex of the fossil, depending on how much sexual dimorphism is in that.
Dr. Hoven figured out how to differentiate the male and female skeleton. Do you want to
I don't
hear
think. No, I don't agree with that.
Well, he said, okay, there are 2 ways. One, you look at the feet. If they're pointing towards the mall, it's a woman, right? And the other one is, I forget the name of the joint, but you look at that jawbone right there, the joint right there. If it's worn out more, then it's a woman.
Oh, okay. Yes. He may be on something with that right there. Like, certain species have more, like gorillas and apes. Gorillas are like, there's a huge difference between the males and females. Homo sapiens, we actually have a very small amount of sexual dimorphism amongst, like, we're nothing like the gorillas, where the males are huge and the females are very small. And like, even in the early ancestors, hominin species, the sexual dimorphism kind of changed in between the species. There were some species where there was larger dimorphism, then some that were smaller. And I don't know, like I'm not sure about the explanation of that, but obviously the ones that had the larger dimorphic difference would be a whole lot easier to tell the difference between the males and the females.
Stephen, would you like to add to that? Anything to that answer? How do you prove that any fossil had any offspring at all?
No, and I would say that someone in the comments said by finding more than one fossil, but the only way that works is if you find the fossil in the same location from all around the world and find multiples, because if you're going off chance mutations, you eventually can breed those out. So you have to hope that you find two very similar DNA mutations. They have to find each other, fall in love, be attracted like the wolf to the chihuahua, as someone said earlier, and get together. So the odds of that are just astronomical.
Okay. One more question. When you were talking about Lucy, this came up. So this is my last question for Robin.
Mm-hmm.
The Lucy skeleton was found without feet. Why is it displayed in the museum with human feet?
Well, I mean, I guess they put it together so I realized the Lucy specimen was it was very incomplete. But we have a much better Tommen child or the tongue child or whatever. And I'm sure that Austin's gonna knock me out but I can't remember what the name of it is. But it is 98% complete, and it's the same species as Lucy, but it was found later. Lucy was just the first one of that one that we found. So I think they just usually probably just they can tell sometimes by certain things, like the skull can tell us the position of the spinal cord in an animal, because dogs and stuff have a skull. They have an opening for their spinal cord that comes more out of the back side of that right there because of the way that they hold their head. And an animal that is upright and bipedal will have more of a centered bottom hole where their spinal cord comes down.
I don't remember the guy's name who discovered it, but he was found with 4 or 5 different skulls under his bed just as he made the claim. But he said the skulls were found 1.5 miles away from and in a different layer of strata than the body of Lucy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of fraud. The what is that one? The Piltdown man or whatever. Okay, the man who claimed that was real was shown to be a fraud through science, actually, not through. That's what debunked those claims like that right there. And the pig tooth thing. All of them were claims. Individuals can make claims. That's something that can still happen today. We got people claiming all kinds of stuff about science, and it's up to science to debunk those things.
Okay, Stephen, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I do. I want to just say thank you, Sister Robin, for coming and hanging out with us. You're one of my very closest friends, and I love you. I love your heart. I would say all of my audience members are not perfect, and shame on some of them for being a little rude. And I would say some of your audience members forgot to evolve manners because they've been very critical of Stephen.
Us dirty atheists. So, yeah.
I want to share this, though, because everyone who's watching from my channel, I want to encourage you to go over to Robin's channel. I put it up on the screen, so take a second to go over that. She's been kind enough to offer to do an open panel for us, so I'm going to hop over there for probably 20-30 minutes and try to answer a couple questions and take a beating. I really do appreciate you.
You want to answer that question?
I agree with Christian Pike that Bruce
evolved from Steven Anderson.
And Steven Anderson evolved from a jackass.
I can't believe you said that word.
That one, Robin. Jeez.
Yeah, we're not big fans of Steven Anderson over here.
I don't know if this is a serious question or another joke question from our very own Christian Pike, but
I'm going to tell Christian Pike right now that camels originally evolved in North America. Bet you did not know that fact or that piece of information. That's a piece of trivia, useless trivia that you can save around.
Anyway,
y'all give me about 10 minutes to create a room and stuff, because I did not do this prior, because I my fish brain didn't even think about it. But so give me a few minutes to create a room and get the stream opened up so you can go take a pee break or whatever.
Okay, so you guys take down this channel, because that's where you'll find us in just a minute. And Robin, thank you for taking on this challenge. The next topic is your choice.
I'm glad this one is finally over with, because we've been putting this one off for a while. So
2 months now.
It went better than I thought it would.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, play song.
Well, thank you guys very much for joining this debate at Proverbs Guys Ministry. God bless all you guys. Have a wonderful night. Be sure to go check out Robin's thing.
Making your way in the world
be blessed.
today
Have a
takes
wonderful
everything
evening.
you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name. Well, all those nights when you got no lights and the check is in the mail, and your little angel on the cowherd by its tail, your third fiancé didn't show. Well, sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and you're always glad they came. You want to be where you can see troubles are all the same. You want to go